Hi, I'm Nicholas, and this is our respiratory system project. I will be going over main functions, the organs, and how does our system maintain homeostasis. The main function of the respiratory system is to supply the whole body and its cells with oxygen and remove carbon dioxide, the waste product. In addition to that, the respiratory system filters the air we breathe and allows you to talk and smell. So, main organs include lungs, nose, mouth, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and the diaphragm. Two main parts are the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract, and their division between the larynx and the trachea. So, I'll be going over functions now. So, here you can see, but it's nose and mouth. Both perform the same thing in filtering the air that comes in, just that the mouth brings more air in. And the pharynx is the direct passageway to the larynx, just that it helps put food and liquid into the esophagus. Now, the larynx helps you talk and it prevents any food or liquid getting into the lower parts of the respiratory system, such as the lungs. The trachea is the main pipe for air to go in. The bronchi are like valves connecting to the two lungs, and the is a big muscle that helps contract and release the lungs so that way they can pull air in and push air out. So I have this diagram. So an air molecule would go into the nose or mouth, down here, through the pharynx, larynx. Then it would go down the trachea, through one of the two bronchus, and to the lungs. So how does our system perform homeostasis? Well, simple, gas exchange. Let's say you're sleeping, your body needs to make sure that the whole body has enough oxygen. So this is called breathing regulation. And that's my part. Now to Albert.
I'm Albert, and this is my part of the respiratory system. How does the respiratory system work with other systems? The circulatory system. There are four parts of the heart of the circulatory system. There's two atrias and two ventricles of the heart, and they work together by bringing oxygen and blood in and out of the lungs during breathing. The digestive system. If a virus or pathogen is detected in the lungs and the intestine detects it, then the lungs and the intestine, along with the immune system, will work together to destroy the virus or pathogen. The skeletal system. Without the respiratory system, the bones of the skeletal system will not have any calcium or oxygen to function properly. And in return, the bones of the skeletal system, they provide protection to the respiratory system. The immune system. If a virus or pathogen is detected, the immune system and the lungs, they work in immune response, and they immediately detect the virus and they destroy the virus, and thus making you not as sick as you would be without the immune system and the respiratory system working together. That's all for the systems that work with respiratory systems. Now we're moving on to what disorders or diseases can affect the respiratory system. 1. Asthma. Asthma is a chronic disease or condition, basically meaning that it lasts for a lifetime, and it basically inflames the airways of the lungs, thus making it harder to breathe. 2. Pneumonia. Like asthma, it can also cause the airways to be inflamed with mucus and fluids, and also pus, making it hard for oxygen to travel. And this also has symptoms along with it, such as fever or chills. That's all for my part of the presentation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I'll be covering a few questions on the respiratory system. And this is the part you probably want to take some notes on. Alright, so I'll be doing questions 48 to 54, which is the respiratory system. So for the first question, that's to describe pathway of an air molecule entering from the nose. So when the air molecule enters the nose, it travels through the larynx and then the trachea, and then it goes down through the bronchi of either the right or the left lung. And the diaphragm, after the air molecule, the oxygen is taken in, put in the bloodstream, the diaphragm compresses the lungs to breathe out carbon dioxide. And for the second question, how does your nose filter the incoming air? And inside your nose, there's tiny hairs called cilia, and the cilia basically filters out dust and other particles that come in to protect it. For the third question, it's what is the voice box called? So the voice box is a nickname for the larynx, And the larynx is basically a hollow tube in the middle of your neck, and this tube allows you to make sounds. For the fourth question, what is the function of a epiglottis and what does it do? So the epiglottis is a flap of tissue at the base of your tongue. And basically what the epiglottis does, it separates the esophagus from the trachea. And what that means is when you eat, anything you eat, drink, it goes the epiglottis. It helps it go down into the esophagus, into your stomach. And when you're breathing, instead of going in the esophagus, it opens up the pathway into the trachea and allows the air to go through there. And for the fifth question, what is the windpipe? The windpipe is the trachea. And the trachea is a tube-like structure, and the main function of it is it allows air to pass through it and go down into the lungs. And there's lots of tiny hairs in the trachea that filter out dust and all that. And the next question, where does gas exchange take place? Describe how it occurs and what two gases are involved in the process. So gas exchange takes place in the alveoli, and the first step, for the first part, which is when you inhale, the air travels through your nose and your mouth and into the alveoli, and oxygen is taken in and transported throughout the body, and the carbon dioxide is compressed out when you exhale. And for the next question, compare and contrast inhalation and exhalation in terms of what takes place between lungs and the diaphragm muscle. So when you inhale, the diaphragm, it tenses up and it sinks further down into your chest, and air enters the lungs, which causes the lungs to expand. But when you exhale, the diaphragm, it relaxes and rises up further in your chest, and air, it leaves the lungs, causing the lung to contract. These are the 3 sources we used, and that's it. Thank you for listening to our presentation.